Alright, this is a test. I switched the what is it, the 480, or what was it, the 4K recording. First of all, I think if I was doing, something that's very visually intense, a fractal zooming or something like that, or, if this is, I don't know, a movie or something, then the 4K would make sense. But I think the processing bottleneck that it was introducing is not worth. It took half a day to process the video, where normally it takes like 5 minutes. And then, like, the video I released yesterday of reading 1.4, the 4K version still hasn't processed, and I uploaded it, I think, 18 hours ago. Still hasn't finished processing. I am going to try 60 FPS on, so we're going to try 60 FPS, but the 60 frames per second might also have a bottleneck. But I think the increasing the frame rate would be a linear order increase to processing, whereas increasing the resolution is quadratic order, I would think. Because if you go from 1080p to 4K, so you're doubling the number of pixels horizontally and doubling the number of pixels vertically. So that's a 4-fold increase in the number of pixels in each frame. Whereas, and you still have the same frame rate. So it would be 4 times as much information, I would think. Whereas with the 60 frames per second, there is the same amount of information in any given frame. It's just that there are twice as many frames. So that would be a 2-fold increase. Again, I'm not doing anything with motion, so I don't think the 60 frames per second will be a huge boost, but I'm going to try it for one video. We'll see. So we're gonna look at, last video I was reading this Artin, and I was just kind of dissecting the way his larger scale argument works, and let me recap this. So the entire goal of this entire section is he is trying to prove not only does the determinant have all of these wonderful properties, but in fact the determinant is the only function that has all these properties. So his argument is structured as such. Okay. He starts by listing these 3 properties. There is just some random function, delta, that has these 3 properties. Number 1, the determinant of or delta of the identity matrix is equal to 1. Number 2, it's linear in each of the rows, which I talked about what that means. Number 3, if you have 2 rows that are equal, then delta is equal to 0. Okay? That's the alternating property. Then he shows, okay, I think then his the structure of this. Yeah, so I'm not sure how it's structured. I think the structure is, okay, let us assume that there is some function that has those properties, that when applied to the identity it is equal to 1, that it is linear in each of its arguments, and that when you apply it, if you have 2 arguments that are the same, then it's equal to 0. Okay? I'm thinking about it as a function on n vectors rather than a function on a matrix, although they're equivalent. Then he says, assuming that it has those properties, then you can conclude that it has each of these properties, namely that in particular it has the property that it has the properties that are listed on the screen right there that we talked about last time. the row adder, and then I was, when I was interpreting this, I was thinking of the Gaussian elimination matrices, and indeed that's the corollary, is that here's the rules for Gaussian elimination. Then he goes and proves the multiplicative property, which I think he proves, he uses the Gaussian elimination logic to prove the multiplicative property. And then he says, and then he uses the Gaussian elimination logic to prove the that it's unique, that there is only one such function that has all those three properties. And then what is this corollary? And then a corollary is some more properties about the determinant. So he's trying to just give a full, this is a lot of logic in these 3 or 4 or 5 pages here, okay? And he is trying to give a full, from the bottom, dissection of this entire logic. So it's very involved. But without further ado, let's get started. And I'm going to pull up the Paint program so we can dissect his arguments. Okay. So we have the first. Let's write down the 3 properties of 1.4.7. Okay. Oh, I just forgot. I gotta go do something. I gotta stop the video. I will be back. Okay. This is not a useless video because I did recap the argument from last time, which the last video was too long. Anyway, I just remembered I gotta go quick do something. So I will come back to this. I'll talk to you in the next video. And then this will be a good test of the 60 FPS recording. Anyway, thank you. Sorry. Bye.